besides these two nice people we have on stage with us...
And you and me.
Oh, yes.
We are quite nice too.
I forgot to mention you, I'm sorry. And three nice people I have with me here. The thing is, Razor TV, we are really on the ground. So we went down to the ground and talked with people on the streets. So this is what we found out, what people knew or think, know or do not know about strawberry generation, and whether they feel, it exists. Let's take a look at our clip.
Why we call them strawberries? Because they look good on the outside, but it's actually quite soft on the inside. So when they meet with difficulties, usually they cannot handle it very well. So do you think Singaporeans, have this strawberry generation going on? Why do you say so?
Number a lot of my friends.
What happens to them when they meet with difficulties?
They will think of doing foolish things.
Like what?
Commit suicide and cut themselves.
年轻人做到一半就放弃这样了，对吗？
你觉得我们新加坡人20几岁的人是这样吗？
应该有啦，有一些是这样啦，
有一些啦，
不是完全。
I think it really depends on the person. Some people have different personalities, really. So,
it's not a generational problem.
It's not a generation.
Because of good life in Singapore.
So what does a good life do to this generation of youngsters?
They become soft and complacent.
When they meet with problems, what do they do usually?
I think it's fighting spirit, the lack of fighting spirit. So probably they will take the easy way out if there's problem.
The thing is that before, for our parents and generation, they didn't really need to study, but they can just join the work and then prosper. But for us, education is really important if we want to secure good work, good pay and things. So we really feel the stress in school, but for them, not so much.
In the past, they used to face more like financial difficulties kind of thing. But now their society is becoming more competitive and everything. So they face different forms of stress like schoolwork and school projects and CCA as well. So it's changing.
But nowadays, the studies are more stressful than last time.
How do you think your parents handle the situation when they meet with stress?
Well, I think when they were young, we didn't have computers, so I'm not really sure how they managed to get the stress out of them. For us, we have due to the technology, right, we have a lot of ways to handle our stress, go outdoors like hanging around here, so we can handle our stress effectively, but I'm not really sure how they could have, but I'm sure they had their different pastimes at that time, at that generation.
If I got stress, I just go shopping, walk, makan, that's all. Then everything forget.
I think the parents are experiencing all the hardships, so they try to protect their children.
可能是家庭背景吧，我就是可能是父母什么之类的，可能是现在好像有一些宠坏的，会吗？我觉得会这样啦。
宠坏了过后，他们就会怎么样啊？
宠坏就是他没有什么上进心这样咯，这样然后他就容易放弃咯，对吧？这样好像他没有见过，好像没有受过苦啦。
Way back then, I mean, if you look at the older generations, I don't think so. They really had all this kind of liberties, and it wasn't any assets or liabilities given to them, even though they were kids.
Do you think parents nowadays pamper their kids too much?
Well, extremely. Excessive
pampering, what is that going to impact on the people?
It's not going to make them understand to accept the fact of what they are going to be. Or neither is it going to accept the fact if tomorrow, if either the mom or the dad is going to lose a job or whatsoever. So where is this pampering going to go? Let's say if the parents are losing everything, they can't pamper the kids anymore.
Do you think they are too pampered?
Maybe slightly, yeah. Can't blame them. Slightly pampered, yeah.
Slightly pampered by the parents, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think that makes them, after they are pampered by parents? I keep laughing.
It's quite difficult to answer.
How do they handle difficulties?
I say it depends. Different children have different.
How about your children?
Let's say they not that great.
Not that great? Not that good. Why? Because you pamper them? Do you pamper your child?
You're all guilty. Sometimes not be your grandmother pamper them also. It's possible.
He should be more, do things by themselves instead of depending too much on the parents. Because especially my son, everything I must do for him. They rely on the parents. This generation all are like that one.
I like that last one.
This auntie is very sure. This
generation,
it's like that one.
No, it's funny because I think she raised up a good point. She said, like my son, this generation, they all rely on their parents. Like my son, everything I also have to do for him. Well, my question to her is like, then why do you keep doing it for him?
Yeah. So the thing is, okay, we are talking about the strawberry generation. We are also talking about, at the same time, of course, what spawns the strawberry generation. It's their parents, right?
Yeah.
So what do you make of this auntie's comment, Do you think that parenthood has got a lot to do with the values and the attitudes of the younger generation?
Of course, I think any person is structured very differently. There's parenting, which is one institution. There's also school and friends. There's a bunch of things. To blame the parents, is to me an easy way out. There's a lot of other factors involved. But of course, being the formative years of when they grow up, this is one big influence. But having said that, which parent doesn't want to pamper or take care of their kids? So the manner of growing for any child through the years is really through, I think, a facet or a number of things. It also comes with during their school years, and of course, what is being inducted to them as they grow along. So I don't think we can fault parents for that, but the more we let them be aware or the more they know about it, the better, obviously.
So Li Hui, are you pampered? Is that why now you're trying to run away and go to Mount Everest?
Break free.
Well, I just had a conversation with my mom yesterday. Basically, my nephew was crying because he didn't have he didn't get the mangosteen that he was promised. And he basically, the moment he saw that there was no mangosteen, he basically just broke into a cry and sat down on the floor, and tears started coming down his cheek.
Tantrums.
Yeah. And then my mom immediately, which is his grandma, immediately went to hug him and stuff lah. And then I was telling my mom, why are you so nice to him when in the past if I didn't get anything, you would just let me cry?
Then you got baggage. I think you got baggage.
Yeah, so I don't think there's any hard and fast rule to how to bring up a kid. And there's no telling whether, if my mom was stricter with me or were more pampered with me, would I have grown up differently, or did I not want to climb Everest anymore? I really have no answer to that. And a lot of what happens in our adult life also depends on ourselves. And maybe just to share, there's this quote by Outward Bound founder Kurt Han. He basically said that if you can be made to see. Okay, no, he actually said that there is much more to ourselves than we know it. And if we can be made to see it, we will never settle for anything less. Yeah. So maybe the pampered generation just hasn't had the chance to see anything beyond themselves or to experience that. And then if they do, then they will, do more than what,
It's interesting that you should mention that because there's a whole school of thought. Sociological thought behind this generation and all that. There's this term, another term called the me generation, where an author has observed that it's all about me. It's self-indulgent, it's self-obsessive, and it actually covers both the X and Y generation in a time of relative affluence. There's no war, everything's all hunky-dory and all that. And the fact is that a lot of people have been given the self-esteem talk. Meaning, parents have been bringing up their children to have self-esteem. Where in the past, what's self-esteem? Do we need self-esteem? Was there such a notion of self-esteem? So a lot of stuff is based on the individuality of self, which is why the Y generation or strawberry generation is called the I generation, because it's all about I. Do you agree with what I'm saying here?
I think the me generation, I read out a little bit about this, also stems from the fact that it's pretty much what you're exposed to as you grow up along the way. The more city living that we come to be living in, the less exposed you are, whether it is through any forms of media or even making a trip to all those less developed or requiring help or assistance country. Then, of course, your focus is more to how do I develop myself, my achievements, my needs, my wants, as opposed to, lending a hand to the needy around. And a lot of us today, even myself included, don't have that kind of opportunity or exposure to actually see and continue to see and be immersed in the places which require help. Once in a while you may get a booth or there's a little tin can and then they tell you what is it, but that's about it. I think it constitutes a minute of your 24 hours on an everyday basis. So the exposure to want to reach out is not much at all. And then where else does the rest of the attention go? It's going back to you, so it's going back to me.
actually have something to add.
Yeah,
That
go ahead.
I do know of this group of people. I mean, in the course of my team, doing my team stuff, climbing Everest, I meet different people, and there's actually a group of youth who are engaged in this group called NSYNC, and they are actually looking for ways to spread social entrepreneurship, whether in Singapore or in other countries. And they are the Gen Y, very techy. They are trying to use like Twitter and stuff to how to spread the word and stuff like that. And also like with our team, we are all about born in the 80s. We are also looking at what goes on after Everest. Like we have intention of starting something to inspire like students and mostly students to look for their own Everest. So there is a group of people who maybe are not just me, but maybe they do look beyond that.
So would you say they're the anomalies then? They're the silent.
Yeah, like what your first video talked about. The people who are actually the wild strawberries, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
not the greenhouse ones, but the wild ones.
Yeah, the one who grow up in the wilderness and can withstand hardship and in fact thrive in those conditions, right? I mean, and you brought up also another point is that I think the strawberry generation, or let's just say Gen Y, because it just sounds better lah.
It's got less syllables lah.
Yeah, the Gen Y people. We are more resourceful in totally different ways. Like you mentioned, using Twitter, using technology to sort of further our passion and to help other people. So do you think that there are this group of people around and we are just doing things in different ways?
I think, again, going back to the fact that they are born in an era where, everything was available to them makes a lot of these technology or even communication or information more accessible. I dare say that you are not of this generation if your first mobile phone was a water bottle like me and using a dial-up where you had to find a phone line to plug into your PC.
We use dial-up also.
Yeah.
Oh, now broadband.
Like was getting phased out when we started.
Yeah, so those days when communication and information were less available, then of course the exposure to all the other causes is not so ready. And then, the focus comes back to yourself. And also the fact that when communication and information are not so readily available, then it segregates the generation into that largely two big groups. So those that are born when the information and technology is already exploded into the scene, when they are already given birth to, gives them a whole edge regarding reaching out to all this information. And for that, it could be that because they come to know about this, quickly Google about it, and it strikes them, oh, this is a group that I need to, do something about,
Actually, maybe the older generation are just a bit jealous because now we achieve the same things easier because
in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, in a shorter amount of time, and you can do it from the comforts of your home, sitting at a computer.
Don't have to go to the library.
Instead of going to the library, right? So they're just like, they have it easy in our time. Blah,
I
blah,
feel like
blah.
it's 3 against 1 now.
Hey, it's kind of true. I'm sorry, you're a bit outnumbered, but so you have to fight your case.
So I'm going to fight my case.
Yes,
okay, having said that, I think it boils back down to the original first 10 minutes which you spoke about, which if you feel that there's a cause that you want to pursue, then this falls under your passion category. It's something that you're passionate about, but it's not out of your comfort zone. So the question of, this strawberry is still boils down to the fact, would you step out of your comfort zone to do something that you don't really feel compelled to do? And that's the hardship factor. So that's, I guess, the test of, whether this generation Y is going to be put up with.